Hello? Okay, good morning, everyone. So, one thing for sure, I'm not going to talk about coronavirus today. So, relax. And I don't have any symptoms, so you can come back after the session and talk to me freely. Don't worry about it. So, what I'm going to talk about today is self-service analytics, and very focused on how we are doing it in Meritor, and also talk about the enablement, how we enable those kind of things in using the tool Click. We're using ClickSense for analytics right now. And then I will mostly talk about the use cases, how we are getting benefit out of it. So this whole self-service model and how the data-driven decision making is helping us in driving the business. So I have some use cases I'll talk about. And then I'll talk about some use cases around digital transformation and industrial IoT, which is going on in the company right now. We are going through a lot of these connected factories, connected people, smart factories, a lot of IoT devices and things like that. So I'll talk about maybe a couple of use cases around how we are using analytics along with that whole digital transformation going on. And then I'll try to keep probably about 10 minutes for Q&A at the end. But if you run out of time, then you can always come to me and talk to me. Or if you cannot get hold of me, I have my business cards here. You can grab one, and then you can maybe connect with me anytime. So I'm a big believer of connecting with people, sharing knowledge, collaborating. If you guys are doing something great, I would like to learn, or if we are doing something which we can help you with, then I would be more than happy to assist you with anything like that. So before we start, so I have on each divider slide, I have one of our products. So just to give you some idea about what Meritor does and so there's something like this which we build. It's a tandem axle which you might have seen in big trucks or trailers and things like that. So little bit about me. I'm an analytics guy, so I always like pictures. So this is everything about me, okay? I am a mechanical engineer. I graduated as a mechanical engineer. Then I did a lot of things in my life. And then somehow I ended up in IT in around 1999 timeframe. So I'm an accidental IT guy. I just don't claim to be like a hardcore IT person. I'm still, at heart, I'm still a mechanical engineer. And that's probably the reason I have mostly worked in manufacturing industry in all my career. A lot of automotive industries and other manufacturing industries in my career. And then I started working in a foundry. That was my first job in 500-degree Fahrenheit temperature, 8 hours every day. I quit in 2 weeks. That's how long I worked there, because I figured out it's probably not the kind of thing which I want to do in my life. So then I went about doing a lot of things. While I was doing this, I was also trading on a stock market. I was a sub-broker for a brief time, and I was a bit into stock trading and everything. That's where my MBA in finance actually came from. And then I did some diploma in advanced computing, and that was my entry into IT. So that's how I came into IT. Other than work, I'm very passionate about music. Any chance I get to sing, I will sing. Not today, maybe. So just relax. And I used to run a radio program in Metro Detroit area on channel 1416. I did it for about 3 years. So I would basically go on the studio, go live, and talk about music, play some songs and everything like that. So that was maybe a little bit of my musical thing which I did in this area. I worked for various companies, including L&T Infotech. That's a company in India which is like a heavy engineering company. I worked for their IT department. Then Ford Motor Company, I was there for about 8 years in Ford, and that's where we built the first executive dashboard for Ford in 2004. We built it using business objects, Java, JSP. No in-memory processing existed at that time, but we built an in-memory processing engine using JavaScript and Java and business object reports. No dashboarding tools available at that time. That was for executives like Alan Mulally and Mark Field. So they were using it in that 2008 time frame a lot when auto industry was going down, and we gave them the segment shift analysis where they were looking at how segments are moving, and that's where the decision came to bring the small car from Europe into North America and shut down some of the F-150 plants. So that's my time in Ford. Then I worked in Lear for a brief period of time, and I'm working at Meritor right now as a solution architect, focus on mainly data and analytics. And then other than that, I love going to places, beaches, mountains, anywhere. And then I'm big time into community services. Any opportunity I get to give it back to the community, I always do it. I'm connected with Oakland Family Services as a volunteer, Habitat for Humanity, United Way, and then the Rochester, the Meadowbrook Hall in Rochester. So I just, anytime I get an opportunity, I always do it. So, and then Meritor, what Meritor does, we are a tier 1 automotive company for commercial vehicles. We don't play into the consumer vehicles, but we are mostly in the commercial vehicles. So you see like big trucks, buses, trailers, specialty vehicles, defense vehicle, big construction vehicles. So we make drivelines, axles, powertrains, brakes, and all these kind of things for those big trucks and trailers. We are a publicly traded company. Meritor, MTOR is our symbol, a stock ticker, and then we are a $4.4 billion company in terms of revenue, 91,000 employees across 19 countries in the world, and we are headquartered right here in Troy, maybe about probably a mile down from here on Maple and on Crooks. That's what our headquarters is. And then we have a technology headquarters in Bangalore, in India, which looks after the whole Asian area. And then these are all the markets we operate in. So in truck, trailers, defense, as I said, we do supply like parts to a lot of defense vehicles, and then trailers, off-highway, specialty, and we also have an aftermarket division where we do service parts and then do provide aftermarket parts for that particular segment. Then this is one of our product, which is like the self tire inflation system. So I thought it would be good to put it on the self-service slide, because this is a system which self-serves itself. So the tire pressure goes down, it will automatically pump the air and bring the tire pressure back to the optimum level. So people who are familiar with trucking industry or transportation, they know how important tire pressure is in a truck. That can like make a huge difference on the cost. So that system basically does the self-service. Anytime tire pressure goes down, it will pump air, it will bring it to the normal. So before we talk about the self-service analytics, which we are doing in Meritor, I thought it'd be good to talk about how we came this far from where we were. So between 2000 and 2017, we were very traditional BI, a lot of Excels, people having any needs, they will come, we will start like looking at the data, probably start bringing data into the data warehouse, that whole like the way BI used to be operating in that time. But in 2018 and 19, so I joined Meritor in 2018, March of 2018. So we started changing the focus on analytics. And that's when we did this whole tool evaluation, a lot of these things around which tool is best for the company and things like that. And then we brought ClickSense. And then our focus is totally self-service. We are not basically building dashboards for the business and handing it over to them. We are just asking them to build their own dashboard and then do the whole self-service analytics. And then there is a big drive right now going on for master data, which was missing basically because now people are realizing a need for master data. And right now we have about 25 dashboards in last 2 years, which are in production right now. And there are probably about 15 in the making, might be more. I have a rough idea about 15, which probably will go in production in next few months. And then, so from here onwards, that's what we are focusing on, the whole digital transformation happening in the company. Industrial IoT, that's a big thing or big push which we are going through right now. And prescriptive analytics, predictive analytics, that's the next thing. We have a lot of diagnostic analytics right now in the company, and people are getting benefit out of it, but now I can see the demand coming up for predictive analytics. Okay, how can we go from here and how can we predict what's going to happen? And then maybe prescriptive analytics, this is more on the shop floor where we are talking about smart factories, smart machines. Okay, how can we put maybe analytics around it so that the machines make their own decision? If something is going wrong, shut down. If something is not working accordingly, then maybe alert somebody or take some action based on the data. And then we are working on commoditize the data And I'll talk about one of the effort which we are doing in that direction. So for the self-service, the way we are pushing it is, on the IT side, we own the platform for the whole analytics. And then we say, okay, we will do everything like upgrades, anything happening around the platform, anything coming up, any problems or issues, we'll fix, take care of everything, and we'll manage the security of the platform. So security of the platform, security within the platform. Okay, who can access the platform, who can do what within the platform. And then we provide data connections. So we build the data connection. We are not letting the business customer go and create like hundreds of data connections and suddenly we realize, hey, it's out of proportion and then it's difficult to manage. So we control the data connection, and then we control the migration of the dashboards from our development environment to production environment. And we also provide all the technical expertise needed for the business to build the dashboard. That's what the IT is doing. And then business, they are building their own dashboards. They know their business really well. They know what the data means. And then we are asking them to build the dashboards for themselves. Now, business also controls who can see the dashboard. So it is completely in their hands. Okay, we have a form in the SharePoint where somebody can go and ask for access to a particular dashboard or a stream. So people who are familiar with Qlik, everything is organized in streams. It's kind of a folder, so we secure it that way. So people can go and say, okay, I want access to this stream. Request automatically goes to the business owner of that stream. They can approve it, reject it. The moment they approve it, the access happens automatically. We don't have to do anything. They automatically get, within maybe an hour, they will be able to see the dashboard. So that is how this whole system is built for automate the access process. Now business can also go and anytime they can revoke it. So they don't have to open a ticket, they don't have to go to the help desk or anything like that. They will just go to the list which they manage, and they say, okay, I want to revoke access for this person. Just click on a button called revoke, access is gone. That person won't be able to see the dashboards or the stream or anything like that. So no IT intervention needed. We don't do anything on that side. It is completely in business hands. So that's how they basically are controlling who can see what. As far as the training is concerned, we do some of the group trainings, but for most part, it's like one-on-one. Anytime we have requests coming in from a new department or new functional area for dashboards, what we do is actually we give them like a basic dashboard, start them with that, and then give it to them and say, okay, go on, build whatever you want to build. Any technical expertise needed, anything needed around the technical aspect of building the dashboard, we help them. Sometimes we'll sit them with like maybe for an hour, 2 hours, go over things the way they are doing it, then guide them in like maybe the best way to do things and things like that. So that's what we are doing right now, okay, for the training side. And then for the dashboard registration, we have a concept where every dashboard which is built and is ready for migration to production, we register it. We have a registration form. Dashboard gets registered. It gets a unique ID, okay? And then we ask a lot of information for the registration. Who built this dashboard? Who is the developer? Who owns the dashboard? What is the information about the data age? How old is the data in the dashboard? Things like that. And like all the functional detail about the dashboard. What this dashboard does. What are the calculations within the dashboard, how the KPIs are built and things like that. So what this does actually, that anybody who get access to the dashboard, they don't have to call us and ask us, hey, what this dashboard does, or somebody is stuck somewhere and they ask, hey, what is this number? I mean, can you explain it to me? They don't have to do that and call us. I mean, they can just get to the functional detail sheet. So every dashboard have to have a mandatory sheet which is called functional detail. And all the information which goes in the registration is displayed in the sheet. And they can also track like what is changed, what has been changed in the dashboard. So they can put like maybe a change management sheet also within the dashboard. And then, so anytime somebody new have access to the dashboard, they will just look at the sheet. They will know who to call in case of any questions or anything like that. So, or most of the time, they just read the functional detail and they will know what this dashboard is all about and what it is doing. So there's an example of the functional detail sheet. It is a mandatory sheet for every dashboard. We will not migrate a dashboard to production if it does not have this functional detail sheet and if it is not registered. So it gives you information about, okay, what is the app name, the ID, okay, what particular stream it belongs to, and then if you go further down, then in the first table, it also tells you about the developer's name, who owns the stream, who is the subject matter expert for this particular area you can contact to. And then the functional description is all about, hey, what this dashboard is, or what we are trying to do in this particular dashboard. And then see, that's for this particular dashboard, they have put the change management. Anytime they make a change, they put a description that what was changed. The idea is if somebody is looking at the dashboard on a daily basis and something has changed, suddenly they are, okay, what happened to this KPI, or what has changed, or where is my chart, or why it is changed. Just go to this one and it explains everything about what has changed in that particular dashboard. And then for the dashboard migration also, we have a set process. So there is a form. Once the dashboard is built, whoever built the dashboard, they will go and fill up this form for migration, and then it's an automated process. It will go to the stream owner for approval. They will say, yes, I am okay with this dashboard to go to my stream in production. And then once they approve it, it goes to IT, and they will review the dashboard and they will migrate it. Most of the time, it is done the same day. Most of the time, we migrate the dashboard from the development to production the same day. It is not a, I mean, there is no wait time or anything like that on that one. So next, how we are basically using Qlik. So when we brought in QlikSense to start building analytics, then we thought about, hey, why not use this tool to deliver the self-service analytics itself? Like, okay, so it is a tool for building dashboards for business, but then we thought, hey, why can't we use it for deliver this whole thing? So that's what we are trying to do now. So whenever there was a request to build dashboard, building dashboard was not a big deal, but then the whole thing was about data. Where is my data? How do I get it? Do we have this data? Do we not have this data? A lot of these questions were coming around it. So more kind of a data literacy kind of issue which we were having. So we built this dashboard. We call it Meritor Data Dictionary. What this dashboard does, it gives you a complete view about view of the data which is there in the data warehouse. Right now we built it only for data warehouse, but it is flexible in a way that tomorrow if there is another source system, maybe Oracle, because we are an Oracle shop, our ERP system and everything is an Oracle, we can maybe put a data dictionary of Oracle in the same dashboard, and then maybe people can go and see what data we have in Oracle. So right now we have it for data warehouse. It's a very simple search functionality. You go to the first screen, there is a like search box, you type in. So for example, if you're looking for, hey, I want to see if we have supplier PPM data, just type in supplier PPM. It will bring up all the tables where supplier PPM exists. It will tell you which table it exists in, which schema it exists in, which database it exists in. It will even tell you for those supplier PPM data or for that particular table, if there is a data connection already there in Qlik. So if we have a data connection available in Qlik for that particular data, if we have it, it will tell you which particular stream that data connection belongs to, so that you can go and request access for that data connection and you can start building the dashboard. What it also does is actually, it also tells you about the data that, hey, if the data exists, can I use it? Is it really ready for use? So there are a bunch of options. It will tell you, yes, it's available, you can start using it now. Or it will say, yeah, it's available, but there is some work to be done before we can make it available in Qlik. Or it is available, but there is a caution here. It's available in development environment of data warehouse, but not in production yet. So you're aware that, hey, what you're dealing with. So it gives you all the details about the data warehouse. And then the good thing is that if you have, like, maybe a data connection is already exist in Qlik, you can request access to the data connection directly from the dashboard. You basically click on a link and it says, it opens up that Qlik access request form. You can fill it up and then you can request the access. So when the access request happens, there are two options when the Qlik access request goes to the business owner. Option is whether the request is to view the dashboard or to build the dashboard. If it's a view dashboard, it's all automated. Within 1 hour, you can see the dashboard. If it is developer, then we need to do something on the back end and then enable the user to do development of the dashboard, because our developer access is very restricted. I mean, we don't want everybody to go and build dashboard because there are some restrictions on, okay, what kind of data you are looking at, what kind of data you are using, and then also we don't want everybody to start building something, bring like 10 million rows in a dashboard, and put a lot of pressure on our development environment. So that is what we do with this particular dashboard. Another one which we are using within to enable the self-service is click access and usage dashboard. So what happened once we started delivering this thing, and analytics was being used by the business customers, we started getting more and more requests about, hey, how can I see who have access to my dashboard? How can I see who is looking at my dashboard on a daily basis? How can I see how many times somebody has used a dashboard in last maybe 1 week or 1 month? Or how can I see when was the last time somebody used the dashboard, or maybe looked at the dashboard or something like that. So we built this dashboard within Click. What it does actually, it tells you everything about all the streams, who belongs to a stream. You can select a user and see how many stream that user has access to. And then you can also see, okay, how many times the user logged in into the system, how many sessions were opened by the user, for how long the user was there in the session, whether user looked at the dashboard for 5 minutes or 15 minutes or maybe an hour, or that information is all available. So they are using it to figure out who has access, and also to do the access audits, because we do like access audits on a periodic basis to make sure that people who should not have access and be removed or revoked. So that's what it is used for, and it is more for like not only for business, for us too, to figure out with whatever analytics we are delivering, how much value it is having in the business, what is the usage of it in the business, how many times it is being used, so that we can decide that, you know what, how much time we spend on it and what the usage out of it is now. So that is the whole Click Access dashboard. So these are the two examples where we are using Click to control Click in some ways. Like, okay. So, next what I'm going to talk about is mostly the use cases. I have about 3 use cases, what we delivered and how it is being used by the business and what impact it had in the business community. And then what is maybe, we always try to get an ROI on that one and see, okay, how much ROI we got on that one. So the very first one is, and this is the most important one, because this is for finance. And I know finance is always like the key department in any company, because they have the green box, right? So they hold the company. So this is the one dashboard which we delivered, and it was delivered purely self-service. So finance department, they built the dashboard. They obviously, for initial stages, they hired a consultant, but they were sitting with the consultant on a daily basis, and they built the dashboard. And now any changes happening in the dashboard and everything, they are doing it. So this dashboard actually prompted them to hire somebody to take care of this dashboard on an ongoing basis. This was like a big thing that they realized, hey, we need somebody in our department who can do these things for us. So what this does, it analyzes the sales profitability margin and cost allocation, which is profitability margin and cost allocation are the very important 2 KPIs or 2 metrics in any company. So that is what they are trying to do with this. Before this dashboard, they were doing it using Excel. So they are using HFM, not really HFM, the old Hyperion, which is like the S-base cube. So all the data is in S-base. So the only way they were looking at the data was through smart views. So if you know, a smart view is a plugin, Excel plugin provided by HFM, where you can just look at the Hyperion data. But then it was very raw. There was not drill down capabilities. They did not know how to do it. People who knew pivot tables, they were doing it. People who did not know how to do pivot tables, they were dependent on somebody else to provide them the data and then give it to them. Mostly aggregate data, no drill down capabilities. So now what the benefit they are getting out of it? The moment this dashboard was launched, they found there were many products which were going under the radar. There were products which were really high profitability margin, but nobody was paying attention to them. There was not enough investment going in those products. So they realized, hey, these are the high profitability margin. We need to do something more about this. We need to focus more on these products instead of like some other products where we are focusing our attention. And then They also brought a concept of minimum profitability margin now. Earlier, there was nothing like that. So now they are saying, hey, now I have access to all this data where I can see what's going on. So they started putting minimum profitability margin on each product. So now they are setting minimums for each product. And they are tracking it that way that, hey, are we catching up with the minimum profitability margin? Are we going above or are we going below? And then one other advantage they got was they uncovered a lot of opportunity of profit within the product. So for example, on some of our Excels, customer can ask us to put maybe a special casing on the Excel. They will say, okay, on this Excel, can you put a casing on this particular side of the Excel or maybe here or something like, which is basically like not the default thing on the Excel, but it is a custom thing for the customer. They found out that in most of the cases, we are not charging customer for that. So we are giving it to them for free. So there are these kind of opportunities they found that, hey, there's nobody is even able to find it out and not paying any attention to it. So now they are seeing it as an opportunity to make some profit. And then another one is that they have changed their cost allocation model now because they are able to see that where the cost allocation model is not working for them, so they are changing it now. For example, they used to do cost allocation at a category level. For example, for brakes, we make like drum brakes and disc brakes. They were doing cost allocation for brakes, not for disc brake and drum brake. And they realized that when we do that, it makes one of the product look really good in terms of profitability margin, but other one looks bad. So then now they are changing. They are doing it at the detail level now because they have the data now to find out, okay, is it working or not? So then they are shifting their cost allocation now between products. So that's a big change they brought up. And then with this whole thing, this dashboard is in use for probably about 6 months. And within 6 months, they found an opportunity to save $1 million. So with all these things happening, they are estimating a total saving of $1 million. That's for the 6 months I'm talking about. If we look at maybe the whole year estimate, it might be a lot more than $1 million. That's the kind of benefit they are getting out of it. That's kind of ROI for us. That what are we getting out of this whole dashboard? And these are some of the quotes from our COO, Chief Operating Officer, and CFO, and then our board of directors. So one of them said it's the coolest thing I have ever seen in my life, the dashboard. And another one which was very interesting, which I liked it, that it's a treasure trove of information. That was interesting. And then another one, this one actually is really important for us, and it really shows that yes, we feel great pleasure in delivering these kind of analytics to business and see that what they are getting out of it. So it must feel great to deliver something that adds so much value to the business. So and they can see the value. So this is our finance dashboard for sales and profitability margin, and then they are doing it on both sides. So we have dashboards on both the sides. On truck side, so our business is normally like within the company we always talk about truck business and aftermarket business. So they have dashboard for truck business and aftermarket both. And they both are getting that the same benefit out of it. Next one I'm going to talk about is for our engineering lab. So we do like a lot of testing of our products, a ton of testing, because the products which we make, they go on huge trucks. So there is a lot of safety concern and a lot of these things. So we do lots and lots of testing. So it's one of the test lab we have right here in our headquarters, and we do a lot of testing. The problem they were having is they were not able to manage the allocation of the test labs and test equipments. So it was very manual. People were like, the information was floating in Excel files, and they were just doing it like old traditional way. So they came to us and say, can Click help with that thing? And that's, again, the self-service model. We found somebody in that department who was willing to take on the Click sense and learn and do things. And then we just kind of like gave them all the technical training, assistance needed, and things like that. And then we build the dashboard. So what it does actually, it analyzes the resource utilization in our labs. So they started with our lab in Troy here in North America, and then within 2 months, then they came back and said they added like our lab in Asia in our lab in Europe. So now it's all global. All the labs we have in Meritor, they all are in this particular dashboard. Now they can actually even look at the metrics in a way that the same machine, how is the utilization in 3 labs across the globe and something like that. So this dashboard actually started the whole discussion about standardization of the KPIs, how you are looking at the test lab data or how you are looking at the resources within the test lab. And then they went into like an extended process of looking at the KPIs. And then the historical trend enabled them to find out, hey, where maybe the issues are, and then enable them to adjust their target percentages to be more realistic. Earlier it was more like kind of gut feeling kind of thing, but now it's all data driven. They are looking at the trend and they are making their targets more realistic now. And this also gives them a clear visibility of where the issues are in the lab, whether it's an issue on the instrument or maybe on a labor side, which instrument, why, and those kind of things. So like a lot of diagnostic capabilities this dashboard has. And then it also kind of improved the operational, the response time in addressing the operational issues. So now they can respond to the issues right when it happens, maybe within a day, instead of waiting for the weeks to like make a decision on what it is. And then it eliminated many whiteboards for daily briefing. So the test lab group has a daily briefing meeting every morning at 9:30. We have in our test lab area, we have a production room. Everybody comes in that room. And then on one of the wall, they have like about 10, 12 whiteboards. It is responsibility of somebody to come before 9:30, put their information on the whiteboard so that they can discuss what's going on. So that is how they used to do it. They removed whiteboard. Now we have a 90-inch television screen, which is a touch screen. This dashboard goes on the screen, and then people start talking about it, slide through the dashboard, and then walk through the dashboard instead of like whiteboard. So those whiteboards are kind of gone now. And then the information is very instantaneous, like, okay, it is just as of yesterday what happened in the test lab. And then they can make the decisions, and then they can review it tomorrow morning, what happened. Now overall, based on like the cost saving, so their cost saving is mainly because of time saving in collection of data, time saving in preparing the dashboards, because somebody is always working on preparing the dashboard and things like that. And then their estimate is about $45,000 per year saving. Now this estimate is only for our North America lab, because that's the one that's the number I got from them. And if you assume maybe about same kind of saving, then we are talking about $150,000 roughly per year in savings. It's just in one engineering lab area I'm talking about. So if you look at these kind of savings, $1 million, which maybe finance is saving, $150,000 probably from the engineering lab. And there are many more probably where people are saving this kind of money. So we are getting a kind of a quite big ROI on this whole thing. And that is mostly like because my belief is that mostly because of the self-service, because they know their business, they know what they're looking for, they know what to build, and that's how we are going to do about it. Now there's other quote from one of the senior manager of the lab, that it is visually pleasant and has been strongly embraced by our department. That is a key thing. You can build dashboard, but if it is not embraced by the people, if it is not used, I think probably it's of no use. So this is a screenshot of it's just the first screen. There are many screens. I just took like one screen to show you that, okay, how they are looking at the utilization for each one of them. Then you see the targets at the top. That is what they were talking about. They are setting it more realistic now and finding out, okay, what it is. And now they are even able to do the operational equipment efficiency or effectiveness for their machines or their test labs. So that's the OE number at the end. The next one is supplier scorecard. I love this one. This one is like, and there are two of them. I am just going to talk about supplier scorecard, but I'll show you in a screenshot for the other one too. That's a carrier scorecard. So with this whole analytic thing happening now we are coming up with this concept of scorecards. So earlier they used to evaluate supplier performance very manually, Like somebody is responsible for quality performance, somebody is responsible for delivery performance, somebody is looking for the savings, and those kind of things. So now they are actually using this dashboard to do the supplier scorecard. So it's a new concept of a scorecard for supplier. It did not exist before this dashboard. This actually prompted like increase in data literacy. So even in purchasing department, people did not really know their data, the quality data, delivery data, savings data, spends and everything. Now they know their data really well, okay, how we are doing the quality, how we are doing the delivery performance for the supplier. So that's a pretty good thing. Sometimes we think about maybe bringing the data literacy first and then doing analytics, but there is kind of an interesting thing that the data analytics actually prompted an increase in the data literacy. Then global process standardization. Now everybody is using the same mechanism for scoring the suppliers instead of using different across in different part of the world. This also gives them holistic view of the supplier performance across the globe. Okay, so they can look at one supplier and say how the supplier is performing in one region and another region. They can compare their scores, and they can see, hey, if one supplier is doing good in the deliveries in one area or one region, why it is not that good in another region, so something like that. So that's another advantage they're getting out of it. And then it reinforces the need for proper update, because for the shipment data for delivery, it is very important that the updates are made promptly. If you don't do it, then your delivery performance will be affected a lot. So when the item was delivered, when it was received, you need to enter that information promptly. Now they are doing it because they know, hey, it is affecting my supplier's scorecard, and I will be like having complaints from the supplier. Now, we are using end printing for ClickSense, and every month around 600 PDFs get generated from this system. It generates one scorecard PDF for every customer, every supplier, and then they share it with the supplier. So you don't have to do it manually, they are just all automated process. And then there is an opportunity of cost saving by selecting the right supplier. So earlier, supplier selection was either like based on some data or mostly gut feeling, or mostly, hey, I know this supplier operates on this particular, supplies of this particular products, I'll just go with it. I mean, without even looking at the data or anything. Now they are doing it. Now they are saying, hey, if another supplier is available who can give us better product at a cheaper price, why not that supplier? So that is kind of a ROI on this particular one. And this is our supplier scorecard, okay, just the scorecard itself. And this is our carrier scorecard. So we score carriers very differently, how many claims-free shipments, and then the timeliness of the carrier, okay, putting the EDI into the system and those kind of things. And then how they are operating on each lanes. So we can look at one lane and we can say, hey, on this lane, if there are 5 carriers, what is their score, and we can maybe decide on which carrier we should be picking for that particular lane. So, and then quickly, I want to just go over these 2 use cases in the digital transformation area. So there is a lot of things happening, as I said. One of that which we are doing is right now is creating shop floor displays. So in one of our factory in South Carolina, what we are trying to do is put maybe 10 or 12 screens, television screens, and then those television screens have like some information displayed, which is the shop floor data itself. So if it is like an assembly line, what is the WIP on the assembly line, how is the performance of the assembly line, a lot of these data which they already have. And they also want to show like news, announcements, anything happening in the factory. It should be on the television screen right there. So they were looking for some third-party company like the ones which do like gas station displays. But then we built a ClickSense proof of concept, and they loved it because this combines your data, your announcements, anything happening on the shop floor, safety instructions, anything, everything is in a dashboard. We are using Mashup to create this whole display thing where the screen keeps rolling like every 1 minute or something. So that is one use case which is going to be live in like maybe one factory with about 10 to 12 television screen. Then this one is another, it's a proof of concept, end of assembly line product validation. So on assembly line, there are a lot of stations where they put like screws, bolts, nuts, things like that, and they need to measure torque, an angle at which they are pulling. So what is happening right now is that there's somebody needs to validate the each part from the system, or we have a shop floor database where all the data goes from the PLCs, but then somebody needs to manually look at which part passed, which part failed, and then they need to make a decision. But now, at the end of the assembly line, there is a touch screen, like a dashboard, where somebody scans the part, automatically populates the part number, or manually type in the part number, click on a button, it goes, gets the data from the system, and tells them red or green. This product passed all the torque, angle validation, good to go, or no, it did not pass, put it in another bin, let it go for rework or something, or let it go for like maybe the quality inspection because it passed. So what it does actually, it's quick decision making right there on the shop floor. And it also prompts them, if maybe continuously parts are coming as red, they need to take some action because something is going on wrong on one of the workstation, and it is causing that wrong angle or wrong torque, or whatever it is. And they can also see the trend and make some meaningful decision. So these are like two use cases for digital transformation, use of analytics and digital transformation. And this is my last slide. I always love this slide. I always want to put it. And it's always like a good-looking dashboard is not always the best analytics. So your look and feel, in some areas it matters. In this one, it matters, but not a lot. If it is not delivering the information or insights you are looking for, no matter how beautiful it is, it will not work. And with that, I conclude. And if you have any Q&A, if you have any questions, you can just maybe raise your hand and ask me. And we don't have that microphone, but I'll try to repeat the question. Yes?
So you briefly mentioned about governance, how the dashboards are governed even before the process starts and even during. So I just wanted to understand a little bit more on a day-to-day basis, how do you govern basically three aspects, like usability, just to make sure that it's really used for data
Yep.
discovery and not for anything else.
Mm-hmm.
The performance aspect of it,
Yep.
just to make sure it's
Mm-hmm.
the servers are behaving well and all
Mm-hmm.
that stuff. And also the security, just to make sure the data is not exported out that it should be.
Yeah. So the question is how we govern those three aspects, okay, security of the data, and then usage and the performance in terms of any dashboard. So for the usage, I showed the dashboard which we have where you can go and look at the usage by individual dashboard. You can see, okay, for this dashboard, what was the usage? That's already there. There is another enhancement which is in the making right now, where it will give you all the information about the performance. How big is the file size of the dashboard? How long it is taking to reload the data in it, and how long it is taking for anybody to load that particular dashboard on their screen and then like navigate through that. So that is, we are already working on adding that functionality to that. And then for the data security, as I said, we control the data connection. So we control who will maybe use what data. And then it is all like maybe whenever we add a developer access, the business owner of that data gives a blessings or approval that yes, I allow this person to look at my data and build some dashboard out of it. So that mechanism is already there, and we are already doing that. So, yeah. Okay, anybody else? Yes?
How did you determine what kind of data to bring in first? I mean, because the company has all kinds of,
Yeah.
of various kinds of data. Where did you decide to start? But I know you mentioned the financial, but.
Yeah. So the question is, okay, how do we decide when to bring the data in the dashboard? Or maybe like the reload frequency, that's what you're talking about?
Yeah, just when you have so much data that's not really related to anything else necessarily, and kind of where do you start?
Yeah. So we have, in our company, we have another role, which is like an enterprise data architect. So whenever we are talking about bringing any data in analytics or dashboard, that's always a discussion with that person. And then with the BI team, which is like the team I am in, like BI and analytics team. And then we go over and review what they are looking for. And then if it needs to be brought into the dashboard from somewhere, then we go through the whole process of analyzing, hey, how this data should be brought in, or should it be a direct connection to click, or should it be brought into the warehouse? So we have that whole mechanism to decide that one. And then whenever we put the dashboard in production, when it will be refreshed and everything, that is always dependent on where the data is coming from. And then what is the frequency of the source refresh, okay? And then when the source is getting refreshed. So we always take that into consideration.
So it kind of comes from people coming to you saying they need this.
Yep.
And then you start to assess.
Yeah. So we have a role kind of GPM, Global Process Manager in our company. So for every functional area, we have Global Process Manager. For purchasing, we have a GPM. For supply chain, we have a GPM. And then those GPMs basically will come to us with their analytical needs, and then they will work with their business customers, and then this whole self-service model. So they assist the business customers with this whole self-service model, and they will make the decision on this data frequency and all those kind of things. Okay, so we're running out of time. If anybody wants to know anything more or maybe talk to me, just I'm here for another 15 minutes. And then, or maybe you can grab my business card. You can always like call me and then we can talk more. Okay, thanks for attending. I appreciate that.